Ever find yourself inching through weekday traffic or wandering through Target at 2 in the afternoon and start thinking, seriously? How are all these people not at work? You might be hustling to buy toothpaste on a rare lunch break, stressed about getting back to your desk, while everybody around you seems to be strolling the aisles, sipping lattes, or just hanging out like it's Saturday. Or maybe you're at the airport on a random Wednesday and it's packed with travelers of all ages, every one of them apparently on some mystery adventure. And in the back of your mind, that little voice pipes up again. Am I the only one with a job? Is everyone else rich or retired or just ignoring their bills? You're not alone if you've ever wondered that. And no, it isn't just your imagination. Midday crowds are real. But when you peek under the surface, the truth is way more interesting and sometimes a little harsh. Let's break it down. The most obvious thing? The traditional 9-to-5 routine doesn't run the world anymore. Millions of people now work from home, have part-time schedules, or freelance in ways that don't fit the old punch clock model. Since 2020, remote work has gone from a quirky perk to a real way of life for a lot of folks. According to the latest government data, about 1 in 4 people now have permission to work remotely at least some of the time. What that means is that the mom grabbing groceries during the day might be in the middle of her workday. Maybe she started working at 6 a.m., handled some emails, got kids on the bus, worked some more, then took a break for errands before jumping back online later. The barista in front of you at Starbucks? Maybe she's on her lunch break between Zoom calls, not skipping work at all. That new flexibility changes everything. A lot of jobs nowadays care more about what you produce than exactly when you're at your desk. It's about getting the work done, not counting every minute at your computer. So what looks like slacking off is just a sign that people are rearranging their days, squeezing in real life stuff when it works for them, and then hustling after hours. You might see someone shopping mid-morning and think, they must be loaded or lazy. But half the time, they probably log back on at 8 p.m. to finish up. A big part of that shift is the gig economy. That's just a fancy way of saying making money any way you can. Think about all the Uber drivers, delivery folks, freelancers, online sellers, and creators out there. People build their days around work that might start before dawn or wrap up in the middle of the night. You see someone at a cafe on a Tuesday at 10 a.m., and imagine they're just living the dream. But they might have hustled all night editing videos, or spent the last week driving Instacart orders before finally catching a break. Having a job today might mean anything from juggling multiple apps and side gigs, to consulting from your living room, to selling stuff online. According to recent surveys, roughly 39% of Americans have a side hustle. For some, it's just a little extra cash. For others, it's how they support themselves and their families. Either way, clocking in for one boss at one company for 40 years is pretty rare now. But hey, even with all the Zoom meetings and gig jobs, you're probably still wondering, what about everyone else who seems to have too much free time? Well, don't forget that not every job needs you between 9 and 5. According to federal labor stats, about 16% of wage and salary workers in the US are on non-traditional hours. That means nurses, warehouse crews, security guards, bartenders, factory employees, delivery drivers, they might start at noon or midnight, not sunrise. So if the guy ahead of you at Costco is buying groceries in the middle of the day, it could just be his version of after work. Whole chunks of the economy keep running 24/7, and the people who do those jobs just operate on a different clock than you do. Then there's a totally hidden group, business owners. These are the folks who might not be at work in the way you expect, but are always carrying the weight of their companies. Maybe they're grabbing lunch or hustling to Target for paper towels, but they're taking calls, checking their emails, and thinking about their business nonstop. Their schedules might look loose, but their brains are always on. And all right, you've probably heard about early retirement, the dream of ditching work for good while you're still young enough to enjoy it. You know, sipping iced coffee in a park at age 46 with nothing to do but relax. It's fun to imagine, but the reality? It's more rare than social media would have you believe. Only 1 to 2% of people actually pull off retirement in their 40s, and even in their 50s, it's only about 6 to 11%. So if you see a 35-year-old reading by the pool at noon, odds are they're not secretly retired. Not unless they sold an app, won the lottery, or made bank on crypto. It's way more likely they're freelancing, in between gigs, or working on their own secret project from their laptop. Now, we can't ignore the elephant in the room. Financial reality doesn't always match what people show in public. Sometimes people look like they're living large. New shoes, the latest iPhone, daily coffee runs, spontaneous trips, when in fact, they're living way beyond their means. A recent Bankrate report says that nearly 1 in 3 Americans now have more credit card debt than emergency savings. Yup, some of those free-spirited shoppers you see might actually be juggling bills behind the scenes, just barely keeping up, or kicking the can down the road with loans and minimum payments. You never see the stress, the late-night arguments over money, or the financial anxiety simmering underneath those midweek outings. What does all this mean for you? The next time you're eyeing the crowd at the grocery store on a Tuesday, fighting the urge to ask, how do these people make it work? Remember that the answer's messier than you think. There's no secret shortcut that everyone else knows except you. Some are hustling differently, some lucked out, plenty are on a different schedule, and others are just scraping by. So you're looking around, realizing that everyone out during the middle of a weekday isn't following the old school rules. It's a little unnerving. You wonder if you missed the memo that let everyone escape the daily grind. But here's where it gets real. Behind every person wandering through stores, sipping lattes at noon, or catching flights midweek, there's a unique story that almost never matches what you see on the surface. Let's talk about something that actually matters for your sanity: comparison. Social media has made it so much easier to peek into other people's lives and immediately feel like you're coming up short. You scroll past clips of influencers working beachside or friends jetting off to work from anywhere locations, and it feels like you're the only one chained to your desk. But let's be honest, camera angles only show the best bits. Behind every perfectly framed photo is a whole lot of boring, messy reality. Deadlines, side hustles, family drama, and the everyday stress nobody's broadcasting. And while it might seem like flexibility and remote work are the golden tickets to happiness, they come with their own trade-offs. Ever talk to someone who works remotely and seems to have freedom, but still answers emails at dinner, checks Slack during movies, or never really clocks out? The lines get blurry. Sometimes freedom looks a lot like work that never ends. For every parent catching a school concert because of flexible hours, there's someone else struggling to step away from notifications and actually be present at home. There's also this idea floating around that if you just hustle hard enough, anyone can break out of the 9-to-5 and live life on their own terms. But the truth? Not everyone wants that, and not everyone can make that leap just because a motivational tweet said so. Maybe you love structure. Maybe you're craving stability, a steady paycheck, and coworkers to joke with around the coffee machine. That's not wrong, it's just real life. The paths you see other people taking aren't necessarily shortcuts. There's sometimes detours, or even longer, bumpier roads. Let's not forget, plenty of folks working odd hours or piecing together side gigs do it because they have to. The regular jobs just don't pay enough. Rents are up, groceries are pricier, and everything feels a little tighter than it used to. You might find yourself working 2 jobs, taking on weekend shifts, or side hustling after your main gig just to keep the lights on. It's not glamorous, but it's reality for millions. But here's the thing, and it's a big one. Your life isn't behind. You're not missing out just because your schedule or bank account doesn't look like that random traveler's or TikTok creators. You're playing by your own set of rules, even if it doesn't feel that way yet. For every person who seems free, there's someone looking at your life and wishing they had your stability, your grit, or even your routine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with craving more flexibility, looking for new ways to work, or setting bigger goals. Maybe seeing all those people out and about during the week isn't a sign that you're doing something wrong, but a reminder to figure out what you really want and how you measure success. That might mean tweaking your hours, starting a side project, or even just letting go of the pressure to hustle all the time. In the end, the world has shifted, and the old rules aren't coming back. More people are taking control of their schedules, blending work and real life, and finding ways to make it all fit, even when it looks messy from the outside. So next time you're in line at Target or stuck in airport traffic, take a deep breath. Most people you see are figuring it out just like you, balancing bills, squeezing in joy where they can, and sometimes just getting by. Here's your takeaway. What you see in public is only a tiny sliver of someone's life. You're not behind, and you're definitely not alone. Whether you're grinding out double shifts, clocking in from your couch, building something new, or just making the most of what you've got, you're doing more than you give yourself credit for. So chin up. Keep steering your life the way that feels right for you. The world's more flexible than ever, and there's no one right path. Your story's just as valid and a lot more interesting than you think.